Let me put this actually on Do Not Disturb because there's a booster meeting tonight and I'm on the band app and it'll start going crazy. Do you guys use that band app where it's like to keep communication with all like the parents and stuff?
Oh, yes. I have that.
I'm on the like varsity cheer parents. And it's like if one person asks a question, like during the podcast, if I don't have my phone on Do Not Disturb, I'll get like 38 notifications. My phone, my watch, like the whole podcast.
My phone doesn't have any. I don't know if I get a text on my computer. Are you going to be able to hear that? Because I have no idea how to turn that off.
I heard something a second ago. Were you on a Mac or a?
I'm on a Mac.
So, oh shoot, mine's upstairs. I'm on the PC right now. There's a Do Not Disturb though. I think it's up in the upper right hand corner. Under that, like two little bars. I'm trying to remember what it looks like because mine's upstairs.
Would it be under focus, maybe? Yep, Do Not Disturb.
That should get it.
Okay, good. I got it.
I knew it was around there somewhere.
I got it.
Alrighty. Okay. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Getting ready to talk with Leslie down in Arkansas about her trip last February. All right. Let's see. Got everything set there. Okay. All right. Let's do this. 2, 3, 4, 4. Welcome to episode 2344 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. As always, I hope you had a great weekend. And let me just say this. I hope your high school football team got to get back out on the field this past weekend. As we're recording right now, I'm hoping that our Francis Hall Vikings got to hit the field. You know what? It's kind of crazy. You know, we live in strange times. I think we got to play because we do record these shows early, but we did have extreme heat here in the Midwest over the past week or so as we're recording. So it looks like we're going to be able to get this game in maybe, but I hope your team is 1-0. And if not, you had a good time at your Friday night light situation. And it is just a great time. Football is back. Mike is happy. And we're talking Disney, which makes Mike even happier. So today, it's time for a great trip report. We're headed just down to the south where we have a little something here in Missouri called the Battle Line Rivalry every November between Mizzou and Arkansas. And we're heading to Arkansas, but it's going to be all good today. We're talking with my friend Leslie. Leslie, down in Springdale, how's it going? Thanks for joining.
It's going great. It's hot, just like it is where you, but it's going great. I'm really excited to be here.
And you are a Cowboys fan, Oklahoma State, correct?
Yes. Go Pokes.
So a little bit upset about your old rivals there jumping ship and heading over to the old SEC.
We've had a lot leave us, unfortunately. A lot of people being traitors, including Mizzou a few years ago. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we came to the SEC and, you know, joined you guys. You know, we're semi-brethren at this point.
Yeah, well, you came for Arkansas, but remember,
for Arkansas. Yes, you got me all kinds of confused because you're an Oklahoma State, you're a Big 12 fan out of the SEC. The geography's got me all messed up here. We're like all Mid-South, Midwest, all kinds of over
I like Arkansas, but my loyalties are to Oklahoma State. So.
Okay, there you go. All I know is I've never been to a game down there, but all I can think of is those just people just pounding the pads. There.
Yes, the paddle people.
Could you that and the people at Mississippi State with the bells? I mean, come on now. Like, I mean, we scream, but that's about it. It's pounding the pads. Boom, boom, boom. I'd have to be like, knock it off. Okay, anyway, so let's talk Disney. Before we do that, let's get a little background on your Disney history. First of all, how about a shout out to your kids? Because they're the ones that kind of encourage you to come on the show. So I love you. 2 kids, cheerleader and a football player. I think that is awesome.
Yes. So I have 2 kids, Addie and Des. They're 12 and 10. They've been begging me to reach out to you for years. We've been listening since probably 2016 when we did our first family trip, and they've been begging me to do this. So I decided to reach out when we did this trip, and so they're going to be really excited. But yes, I have a football player, basketball player, and then Addie's volleyball and cheer.
All right. Wish them a great season and a great school year. And again, one more time, good luck to all the teachers and students as we are back to school. even the East Coasters, like the Northeasterners, they're starting to like look at school supplies at this point, which is
I
crazy.
know.
'Cause it's,
I know. And we've been going for 2 weeks. So
I know we're almost like to the mid quarters at this point, but yeah, at least people up in Maine are thinking about school. So, all right, so give us some of your history with your Disney fandom. Like, where did it all start for you?
well, officially when I did a big family trip in 2016, I had gone with some friends. I think it was in 2007 to Disney World, but I didn't plan any of it. And so I don't really remember the trip much. I just kind of followed along. But we took a really big extended family trip in 2016. And I think I just fell in love with the planning aspect of Disney. I'm a planner. I love to plan. And so it was our family, my brother-in-law's family, and then my husband's parents came. And so I got to plan it for everybody, which was such a joy. It was an amazing trip. And I think we just got addicted. We did that trip. And then the next year we went to Disneyland. And then I think my husband and I tagged a trip to Disney with a work trip. And then my daughter and I did a trip. So, and then we kind of had a break from COVID for a little bit. So
we all got a little unforced, unplanned break there in mid 2020 for a little while, which we made the best of here on the show. We had nightly call-in shows, but yeah, it was a little scary time for.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think I'm really odd for listening to Disney podcasts, but I think it's just been such a fun thing to hear about people's trips, to learn about planning. So it's been kind of like a nice outlet for me, for sure. So.
I sure appreciate everybody takes the time to tune in because, I got a daughter that's 15, goes to a popular, one of the big high schools, state champions here in the state of Missouri. Mm-hmm. And people find me on social media at her high school, her friends and stuff. And the athletic director at her high school sometimes will like see my posts and interact with me. And it's, tragic for her. She says, Dad, can you make a new account that's not Disney, just you? I'm like, no, that's my brand. That's me. I'm not embarrassed of who I am. Yeah, I'm a geek. I like Disney. I like sports. I mean, it's just who I just deal with it. I mean, it's one of those things. I get it. And I'm glad we're all friends here, but we're all big Disney geeks and friends, and that's who we are. And that's who we need to celebrate who we are. So, let me ask you though about that first trip. Do you remember, besides the planning aspect of it, when you got to World, like what were the things that you thought were pretty cool when you got down there? Because for me, again, it was the infrastructure. Like, this is a city, but everything is so clean and neat and perfectly laid out. That's what I loved.
I think everything at Disney is just done so well. I think obviously just the transportation pieces and how you literally like show up, you're in that bubble. We did stay on site. It was the time where we had the Disney dining plan. So we had like that feel of inclusive meals, which I think my husband really loved, eating all these wonderful meals and not feeling like you were paying for it, even though you already had. But our kids were pretty young in that trip. And so that was a challenge for my, in particular, son. We had never seen that side of him. But regardless, it didn't run the trip. He adjusted. And so I think like, I agree with you, like infrastructure things, there's just so many things that are thought out so well. And I do think that if you take the time to plan, like you don't ever I never felt like we were standing in line a lot. Like I feel like there's a lot of ways and systems that can override some of the stresses that people do experience with Disney. I think those are the things that I just really appreciated. There was like a reward for all the planning that we had done on the front end. So
that's such a great point. The planning that you put in 6 months out, 3 months out, months out, it repays itself 2 times, 3 times, 10 times fold when you get down on your vacation. Sure. It really does, because the early bird gets the worm is kind of the saying, but it you do put in some work. But if you can find enjoyment in that planning and doing the research and then laying out a good strategy, you don't always have to stick to it. But at least if you have an idea of what you want to get out of the day when you go in, it's so much better than the folks who are just walking into the park and just like, like a Six Flags, like, okay, let's see where the day takes us. You just cannot do that at Walt Disney World, especially you got to have a plan.
Definitely. And I love theme parks in general. We live close to Silver Dollar City, which I know that you've recently visited.
Love it.
And it's a great place, but since it's smaller and you don't have to really think it through, it's not near as busy. And so I think it was just nice to think so many things through and just see those things play out. And, even just like the research in the restaurants that we went to and how, you know, being able to read reviews and listen to podcasts and, you know, put in some of those tips that you've got to listen to has been really cool.
Yeah, just take me to Silver Dollar City. Give me some of that bread right there as you walk in on the left, and the cinnamon bread or the cinnamon rolls, whatever that is. I'm good.
Yes,
You know,
great.
I'm old. Give me that. Ride the train with the little show halfway through the ride. And
Yes.
I'm good. I don't need to be on Time Traveler. I did that once with Mallory. Holy cow, that thing's like Guardians of the Galaxy times 10, and you're outside and you're going every which way. I can't survive that thing.
Our family loves that. We're a big coaster family.
Oh, it's wild.
No, it is wild. It's fun.
It is fun. It's wild. I mean, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy on steroids. Okay. One other thing, though, you mentioned you guys went to Disneyland for the first time, and Disneyland packages just went live this past Thursday.
Okay.
One piece of advice you would tell somebody, because you went first timer, what would you tell them that surprised you about Disneyland? Because a lot of folks like me are going to Disneyland for the first. There's tons of people discovering Disneyland for the very first time right now.
I think I would say to not let yourself compare the two because they're so different. There's so many like really great things about both. I think one thing that was hard is, you know, my husband had a hard time like not feeling as much in that Disney bubble. We did stay at one of the Good Neighbor hotels, so we weren't, you know, we were walking across the street pretty much, but it was different to see, you know, like normal life happening outside of that. And so I think that was harder. So I wouldn't compare. I think I would also just recommend if you have really little ones to try Disneyland maybe first, because it's such a blessing to not have to worry about transportation, to walk back and forth to the two parks, to just go back to your hotel if you need to. Like that was a really sweet thing for us. Is our kids were still pretty small, and that part was so much easier. You know, you didn't have to worry about going back for a nap if you needed to, because it didn't really take your whole day. So, but they're both so unique. I would encourage people to go to Disneyland because there's just so much there. I think I originally thought, oh, there's only two parks, like there's not going to be as much to do, but there's so much to do. And I think it's really special to be in the place where, you know, Walt was, and just seeing some of those really cool things that he dreamed.
I agree.
Person. So
well said, you know, because you're the master of your own destiny out there. You know, you are never waiting for a bus. Now, transportation, don't get me wrong. I love transportation at Walt Disney World. I like riding boats, monorails, Skyliners. That's half the fun for me. But like you said, especially in a situation with kids, you know exactly how long it's going to take you to walk from the Incredicoaster back to, you know, the Candy Cane Inn. Like, you know, just how fast you can walk. You know, you're not waiting for, you know, you may get the next bus, you may wait 30 minutes. You take that variable out. So
yes, definitely.
it is, and it's very walkable. And you, like you said, with the two parks, you could be in the back of, you know, you could be back in Pixar Place and, you know, decide, oh, I'm going to hop over and go to Fantasyland at Disneyland and be there in 10 minutes.
Definitely.
I still can't wrap my head around that. I've been there twice last year. And just, I love the place.
We also loved Radiator Springs Racers, Cars Land. Like, we haven't been back since 2017. We want to go back so bad just because my son, it was like the perfect age for that. So it's literally incredible. I feel like it almost is as good, if not better, than Galaxy's Edge.
I'm with you. Yeah. Cars Land is my favorite land in any Disney theme park. And to me, it beats Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. It's especially because I go in for the Shaboom thing, right? At sunset. It's a big deal. Like I mean, the fact that they made that look like you are in the environment. I swear it looks like you're in the movie. And I know Galaxy's Edge looks kind of like that, but I mean, Cars Land, it is like you are in an animated movie. It is wild. And then the cars come out and drive later, and you see, you know, Lightning McQueen, and they're talking to you. It blew my mind. Like, it was wild. Yeah,
we loved it. So it was so fun.
All right, let's talk about your trip. That was a lot of fun. So your trip, we're going to talk about February, you guys. So give us a little backstory on the trip we're going to talk about. Just lay it down for us.
Sure. So this was, I don't know if this was in our pre-chat or not, but this was a 40th birthday trip. It got a little delayed due to COVID, and I also tore my ACL. So we had to wait just a little bit for me to be able to run 13 miles. But this was a goal of me and one of my best friends, Ashley. And so we ended up just delaying it a little bit and went and ran with my sister-in-law, Victoria, and her best friend, Margaret, also came. So it was 4 of us, just a girls' trip. And It was such a blast training. I had run marathons in college and several half marathons after that, but this was the first race that I'd really ran since I've had kiddos. And so that was just a cool challenge to overcome. You obviously are not as active sometimes when you're in the young parenting age. And so it was really a cool goal to be able to set to train. I spent a lot of good time with my sister-in-law and my best friend Ashley just running, which was a really fun thing before the trip. My friend Ashley had gone on her first trip, I think about a year before this, maybe it was a year and a half, and had said it was going to be her only trip to Disney. And I secretly knew that she was going to fall in love, and she did. And so she was so excited to do this trip. And they actually this summer took like a surprise random trip back down to Disney that wasn't planned. So I think she's hooked as well. But and my sister-in-law, so fun, and her best friend, so fun. It was just a really cool trip to just get away, to not really have to think about some of the hard things that you navigate as a working mom. And obviously, like, wouldn't trade any of those for the world. And just enjoy friendship and a place that we all love. So
that's awesome. I love this. And so let me ask you this, because you mentioned you like planning and you guys were all into it. How did you guys plan this so that everybody got something that they were looking, especially for a race weekend?
Yes, definitely. Well, my sister-in-law knows how much I love planning for Disney. So she continued to relinquish the overall control to myself. And essentially we mostly like decided how many days we're going to go. We knew kind of which parks we wanted to focus on. We went to all of them, but we really just I kind of shared like some restaurant suggestions and then just had them kind of vote. And then I just went from there and booked the places that we all, wanted to be at, which was fun. So that's kind of how they had the input, is we either got on group Zooms or just some emails to basically decide where we wanted to eat. They weren't really very picky. They knew how much I listened to podcasts and I planned, so they kind of trusted me and like where to go. So yeah, it was fun though.
It's always best when you have one chef and everybody else, or one bus driver and everybody else is just riding on the bus. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe a couple kind of co-driving there, because too many chefs in the kitchen and everything gets messed up. You just got to have some trust and let the person who's very passionate kind of take the reins. And unless you have some kind of really specific thing, it usually turns out awesome. Like in your situation, it sounds like everybody had a great time, probably no stress on them, and it's a win-win for everybody. You're having a good time and they're going to have a blast without doing anything.
It was a great trip. I think what was also sweet is we started out the trip, kind of all four of us doing a lot of things together. It was a pretty long trip. And so as the trip went on, we also kind of got some individual time I got some time with my best friend, Ashley, and she got some time with her best friend, Margaret. So we could kind of peel off a little bit too. So that was kind of nice at the end to kind of change your pace up for however you wanted to do the trip. So
where'd you guys stay for this trip?
We actually stayed at Pop.
So that's where I always stay for races too. How'd it work out? Because you said you started out like a 4-day trip, turned into a 7-night trip or 7-day trip. So fine. Pop Century?
Yeah, Pop the whole time. The reason we changed it to a 7-day is we took a really cheap Allegiant flight. Oof. And they only fly out on certain days. And so it kind of worked out. It ended up being pretty much cheaper than taking a different flight. That's how we justified it.
That's called Disney math right there.
Yes,
that's an example of Disney math.
Yes. So none of us were sad about it by any means. None of us were sad. So.
But you guys like the room and the resort, and I mean, it seemed to work out okay for so 4 ladies in one room, though. I mean, they're not huge, but I mean, you're there to have a good time, race weekend, so forth.
Yeah, we didn't spend a massive amount of time in the room, but I think that I had stayed there with my daughter in 2020, and they had just refurbed the rooms at that point, and it was plenty of space. I think that Murphy bed that pulls down is really nice because you can kind of open up that space, but we weren't really at the room a ton. And so it was plenty. So we're all pretty minimalist people. So we don't have a ton of stuff. So
I wish my girls were. They always bring so much stuff because we stay at Pop sometimes and I have a little bitty room. but we make it happen because I'm a value resort guy. So let's talk about the race though.
Yeah.
So what were your memories? You mentioned earlier that you got to mile 10 just kind of floating through on good vibes and
Yeah.
the positive DJ tunes pushing you through the course.
Sure.
But how was the weather? You did did you do a challenge or just the half marathon or what? No,
Yeah,
just
I definitely was not all about waking up that early for several days in a row. So we decided just for one. But I think the things that were surprising, which they had told you, but I just didn't expect, were how far you have to walk when you get off the bus. I feel like you actually more do like 15 miles when you
oh
actually
yeah.
figure the walk. But I just think the atmosphere of just being in the corrals and the encouragement that you get from the MCs, the music, I mean, the fireworks that go off before each of the like corrals starts are incredible. So that's really fun. I think also just even just like seeing like we were not in like an early corral. I think we were in like corral maybe D or something like that. Maybe C, I can't remember. But I think even just watching as we were leaving, there was somebody who was, I think it was one of the really fast ones that was about to finish. And so, people cheering those people on as we're running. I think obviously like the lines were insanely long for characters. And so even though we were far from being swept, I think I was nervous the whole time that I was going to get swept. So I think I wish I would have stopped probably at more of those stations to take pictures. But again, it was my first race. So I didn't necessarily know like how fast I needed to be going.
I never do. I'm a paranoid freak. I will never stop at a character stop during a
Yeah,
race. It doesn't matter. Like sometimes I'm running pretty decent pace and I'll be in corral A and I'm like not doing it because I just see like a stream of
yes.
thousands of people going past while you're doing that. Nope, not me.
But so that was really fun. We did stop at a few, but we didn't stop at a ton. Probably wish I would have stopped at more. But I think some of the most magical things are, going by the TTC and having all the people cheering for you, and then of course getting to run through the Magic Kingdom is just such a surreal thing. Going through the castle and even just seeing some of the backstage areas. Even just like the bands that are playing on the interstate and obviously when you're coming through Epcot at the end, I know that you love I think it's the Hallelujah chorus at the
Yeah.
end. Just so
The
motivating.
gospel choir there, right at mile 13.
Yeah. So I think it's just, like I said, I didn't even feel like I was running because of all the encouragement and the people that were around, just memories, running with my best friend. And I think also just people, I mean, there was just so much encouragement, like so much encouragement, not only from the people that are cheering you on, but the people who are running, and the costumes are hilarious and
Mhm.
fun. And so we did all dress up. I can't remember what my friends were. I was Belle. I think we had a Jasmine and an Anna, I think were the other two. So it was fun.
Very cool. That makes me so happy because the races are not about times; they're about memories and
Oh,
just having
definitely.
a good time. Just pushing yourself to get to the finish. Of course, you don't want to. You want to complete the goal because I always say that's the victory lap. You did all the hard work and the training back home. This is just where you finish it off. This is like the cherry on top of the work that is the shake there. But yeah, that's awesome to hear. How'd you guys celebrate that day or that night? Did you
Yeah.
guys have a meal or kind of celebration?
So we did a rest day that day. We didn't like go to any parks, mostly because we wanted to save our park days for days that we could really maximize. And so basically, I have been listening to your podcast for so long. We were like, what meal do we want to do afterwards? And I knew we were going to be probably around the Disney Springs area at some point too, but we ended up going to Olivia's.
Nice.
And I know you love Olivia's.
Yes, I
Um,
do.
and the food was really good. Our service was really rough. That was a hard day to have rough service because we were delayed. Like our reservation, I think we had to wait 30 minutes to check in. We were starving.
Yep.
Um, and then I think like I think they were just understaffed. Unfortunately, the food was very good, but the service was really hard for that day. But still, the food was good. So we did Olivia's, and Old Key West is such a beautiful place. That was fun to see that. I'd never been there. And then me and my friend Ashley went and got pedicures after that.
Wow, nice.
In fact, I felt like I wasn't going to be able to finish the trip because I was just so sore. And then I had the pedicure and I felt perfect. So I would suggest that for anybody. I feel like they got all that lactic acid out and it was, we were ready to go for the next, because we still had like a few, I think 3-part days after the race. So.
And see, that's why you listen to our show. Now you know if you're broken down and you think you can't go anymore.
Yes.
Your next Disney trip, get a pedicure. And
that's right.
Oh, no, it's great. I'm sorry you had the bad service. Usually over at OQS, they have great service. I mean, at Olivia's, because a lot of the servers are like long time. Like they've stayed there forever because they like the feel of the place. But
I'll try it again. Don't worry. I will try it again someday. That's our kind of food. So, but I think partially we were just starving too. And it was
trust me, I've been there, man. It's for me, it's not the day of the race, it's the day after the race. So like on marathon weekend, it's not Sunday after the full marathon, it's Monday. Heads up, look out. I'll eat everything on Monday. Sunday, I'm just, my stomach's tore up from all the running. But oh good Lord, on Monday, I just get up and was like just garbage disposal. Okay, so let's talk theme parks, and we don't have to go sequentially. We can just talk about fun times you had. And you mentioned that you guys are coaster people.
Yes.
You in the notes, you said you loved Guardians, and you mentioned Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City, which is an extreme coaster. It moves on multi-axes, but it doesn't have as much of a story though as Guardians with screens and indoor and stuff. So you enjoyed that.
Yes. We, I think we got I guess it was, I don't know if it was a virtual. No, I think we paid for a lightning lane that day because we didn't start at Epcot the very first day we had, but we wanted to try it to see if we wanted to try to ride it again later in the trip. And all of us loved it. I think for me, the first time I did it, I don't think I even noticed all the cool things in the background, like the screen, just because it was the first time. You're not really paying attention to as many things. And so the second time when I rode, I was like, oh my gosh, there's just so many more things to see. But yeah, I mean, I can see how one would get a little bit motion sickness from that. We fortunately did not have to struggle with that. And so loved that ride. We rode it at least 3 times on the trip. I can't remember. Like just so smooth and fast and fun and just unique. I just love how Disney tells stories on even just some of their major thrill rides. I think that's one of the coolest things that sets them apart. So I'm
glad you loved it. It sounds like it's made perfect for you. I know
you don't like it. I know you don't like it.
Great. I get motion sick. I just can't do it. And you said you also liked Rise. This was your first time doing Rise.
So I had done it a few times, but I think Margaret, that was her first time to do it. I mean, it's just the story. I call it more of an experience than a ride. There's not a lot of thrill to it. It's more just the experience of things, which I think is just so cool. And again, that's just something that Disney does so incredibly in so many of especially their new attractions and all the technology that they have. I think some of those things are just like super impressive to watch. So.
That's one of those that back home, folks that, I'll have a neighbor or a family member that has been at Walt Disney World in say like 15 years. And they ask me, they're like, there's that new Star Wars ride. Because sometimes you see it on like a website or usually see it on the web. I don't think it's actually at any commercials right now or anything, but they'll ask you, what's that ride like? What are you doing? And I'm like, it's kind of hard to explain because it's not, it is a ride, but it's an experience, right? You're going through like different scenes, like you're brought into the story and you're progressing through different kind of experiences, because you don't want to give away too much for when they go down, right? You don't want to tell them, well, it's going to be like this and then that, because it is kind of interactive. You're put into this, but you are progressing through a storyline for about 20 minutes, 22 minutes. I'm like, it's a long experience that you're immersed in, but there is a ride in it. I mean, definitely is a ride, but I think it is one of the coolest things Disney's ever done, just because of how much technology they had to incorporate into one multifaceted attraction.
Oh, definitely. So
much fun. So cool. Here's another thing I love. Okay, so no kids on this trip.
Yes.
You guys went and saw Frozen Ever After. The Frozen show. I love that show too. That show cracks me up because there's adult humor in it too.
Oh, definitely. I think I try to go every time. I think it's a place just to sit and rest your feet. Of course, air conditioning, even though it wasn't that hot when we were there. But I also just think it's hilarious. Even my husband, who's not like super into the Disney movie pieces. Actually, he humors me coming to Disney a lot of times, unfortunately. But he enjoys it as well, just because it's so funny. So
And if you have a daughter, even if you do, I don't know. I mean, I
Mhm.
obviously have two, so I can only see it through those eyes. But I've been down there, without the kids for
Yeah,
social media stuff and
sure.
work stuff. And I'll go in there and just watch a show because I'm there for like 3 days and I have nothing else to do. I just want to sit down and watch a show.
Yeah.
And the thing is, just pick out like just look around at the families, and you'll see like the little girl with dad or with grandma, dressed up like Anna or Elsa, and then boom, Elsa pops out in the smoke, and it's like the kid's jaw drops. I mean, but it takes me back to when
Yeah.
Paige and Mallory were little. They like Paige saw Ariel for the first time, her favorite princess, and for Mallory Frozen or Elsa. So it does. You can kind of relive those memories of your own kids just by sitting in a show like that once your
Yeah.
kids get older.
There's something about that show, I don't know what it is, that does make me a little emotional. It could be that my daughter was in that area, but yeah, whenever they're singing I mean, everybody's belting the songs out, so that's really
Yeah.
fun, and it's just, I don't know, we really enjoy that. So
It gets me because that movie came out on my birthday, because it came out on November 27th, which is my birthday. And the girls were like, "We want to go see this movie called Frozen." And I'm like, "Oh, it seriously, it's like a cartoon. It's my birthday. It's football season. Like, like it's getting down to it. It's the end of November. Like, fine, we'll go see it." And then, I get there and I didn't know what it was about because I think the commercials mostly showed the moose. It was like a moose and like a carrot, like in the snowman, Olaf. It wasn't really showing a whole lot of I just wasn't paying attention. I had no idea really what it was about. So we get in there, and then I'm like, dang, this story's about two sisters. And I'm like, oh my God, they're like, the parents die, and then the two sisters have to rally. By the end, I'm like a blubbery mess because I'm like, oh my God, what happened if something happened to Pam and I? And would I not want Mallory and Paige to like rally and like just be like together and stick up for each other? I'm like, this is too much. Like, I can't, this cartoon just wrecked me on my birthday. Thank you, girls. Like it was too much. Like, but that's why I love that movie now. But it's like, whoo.
it's a good one.
They dropped me in there without warning. Okay, sorry, that's like going onto the couch there with Frozen, because that was what I was expecting to have a football game that day, and I just got like, whoo, what's going on with that movie? You guys got to see Fantasmic. We said minus the crowds because it's a nut house now to get into Fantasmic.
Yes. So we didn't really want to waste a ton of park time waiting to get in. So, I mean, we weren't the last people in, but we were on like the far left, which the challenge of that is getting out of there.
Yep.
It's amazing how many people they can fit in that theater, but it's an incredible show. I think the last time I had seen it was 2016. I can't remember if I skipped it whenever I went back in 2020. But yeah, it was an incredible show. So, but yeah, the crowds were just insane. So
you're right, though. Scott likes it because you got a place to sit. He always brings that up. It's one of the great nighttime spectaculars because you can get there early, grab some popcorn, a soda, sit and relax while you wait for the show. But yeah, the drawback is when the show's over. Oh, man, unless you're one of the first ones out, you're stuck. Especially if you're down in the bottom, like in the front row. Oh, you're way stuck in there. Okay, a couple of things you have on your notes: just Expedition Everest, Flight of Passage over at Animal Kingdom. So, any other highlights that you guys did together or separately in the theme parks?
So like I said, we love roller coasters. So Expedition Everest, we did several times. Tried to figure out as many fun ways to do different pictures as we could. And there was really not much of a wait every single time we were doing it. So that was really nice. We love Flight of Passage. In fact, I have a new strategy for Animal Kingdom. I normally am a rope dropper, but Animal Kingdom is always so painfully early because of just the opening time. And so I have a new strategy to where I think if I'm gonna hop, I think what I would probably plan to do is go somewhere else and then always just hop to Animal Kingdom because there's not a ton there. And I feel like I could get almost everything. We ended up doing Flight of Passage at the very end of the night. And I think the wait was like 20 minutes. And so we didn't necessarily have to be there so early, which was a really nice thing. Because I think that's the hardest part about that park is having to be there so early unless you want to wait in that monstrous line or pay for the individual lightning lane, which we didn't really want to. So
That's an interesting strategy for Animal Kingdom because, I'm trying to think of my personal experience at Animal Kingdom, and I always go to Rope Drop. And,
yeah.
and I'll tell you what, that's the one park that I don't go to. Like when I go to Walt Disney World, if there's going to be a park that I skip, say I'm there for 4 days, I'll probably do Epcot twice or Magic Kingdom twice, Studios once, and Magic Kingdom or Epcot once, and I'll skip. And I do skip Animal Kingdom quite frequently. And but I never hop to that park. I always go there in the morning, and I'm always done by I'm always bouncing out by noon or 1.
Right.
And that's true of a lot of people. So you're right. If you think about that, if you're the person who rolls in at 3, if you can deal with the heat during hot times of the year, but if you hop in at 3, you're really going against crowds. That might be a great hack.
Well, I really look for at night as well. And so I think the park closed at 7. And so that was really going to be our only way to see it at night. And I think we actually hopped somewhere else after that. So I think we maybe hopped to Epcot or maybe Magic Kingdom after that. But we wanted to see it at night. So it worked out perfectly to be able to see it all lit up. And I think it's kind of one of my new strategies. My husband will really love that because he does not like getting up that early to go to Animal Kingdom. So
that's a great way to think. And that's why I like having this show because, I always think, got to be there early. But I do park hop, but I've never gone about, for some reason, I always go to Animal Kingdom early. I never hop to Animal Kingdom. I don't know why I've never hopped there. That's so weird because I hop everywhere else.
Yeah.
I've never ever gone there. Huh.
I'm trying to think other park highlights. I mean, we went to all the parks several times. I think our favorite's Hollywood Studios. I just think there's so many fun things to do there. We also really love Magic Kingdom at night. I think me and my best friend Ashley went back there the last night. So many of those rides are just so fun at night, and just the atmosphere is so fun. So one of our most surprising restaurants, which was not in the park, but I think probably our favorite meal of the entire trip, was Sebastian's Bistro.
I'm glad you said that because we never talk about that here. So give us a quick little review of that because it's hardly brought up.
Yeah, I think I love Ohana, and I feel like the food felt similar to Ohana, but much cheaper and actually way better. I love the family style. I love that you can just kind of get whatever you want. The dessert is incredible. The service was amazing. I think it's fresh. There's a lot of vegetables and just meat, nothing really fried, which was really nice. The salad's incredible. Their bread's incredible. It was a really great place. I think that was actually the evening meal of the day we ran the marathon. And so that was really nice because we were at that point really hungry. So everything was kicking in. So it was great.
And super accessible for somebody staying at Pop Century, Art of Animation, the Riviera, anybody that's on an Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Beach Club, because you can just jump on the Skyliner and bam, you're right there. Because it's if you don't know, it's a Caribbean Beach for folks. It's right there. Boom, right at the middle there. Yeah, it's a great restaurant. I went there a couple times, and you mentioned the bread. When you mentioned the bread, my mouth started watering because something about those rolls. Whew,
yes,
I saw that you also had the buffalo chicken sandwich. Speaking of
I did. That was thanks to you. It was wonderful. I had to get it at Hollywood Studios, and it was great. I agree.
Probably one of the best world over, one sandwich at a time. It's like the old Coke thing. A couple of things too I want to mention over Disney Springs. It's like you had you hit up some homecoming, and you get Olivia's homecoming, kind of the same type of food, and Gideon's. I've never been to Gideon's still. So
oh my gosh. So I've been hearing so many things about Gideon's, and so I certainly had to try that. We stocked up. We went on the very first day, I think, and I think we each bought at least three cookies, maybe. I don't really remember. We bought a lot to be able to bring home. And wow, those cookies are incredible. So there was one, it was during February when we were there, and it had some sort of like hot spice in it, but some cherries and some chocolate chips, dark chocolate, I think. I can't remember the name of it. It was incredible. So worth it. And the peanut butter cold brew, incredible. So
everybody says.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of work for cookies, but and I don't know if I have the discipline because those cookies are so big. I mean, I know you just take a little piece off and eat it.
We didn't actually have to wait in line. That I think we showed up on a weekday, which was maybe a tip. I think we were there on Thursday for the first time we went. And so there really was like maybe a 20-minute line. It really was not that bad. So I think we lucked out.
Maybe when I'm down for the Give Kids World thing next week. Probably not. I only really have one day to kind of go around. So
definitely have to commit. It was so good. So
yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I will see. I got to get there because the good news is I don't drink like cold brews. I don't do that. And the cake, though, Scott keeps raving about the cake. I do love cakes.
Yeah.
So,
I think we got a slice of cake too that we kind of ate on throughout the trip. So
that's like draw me in like a fish. So that's one thing. How was homecoming though? Did you guys enjoy that?
It was great. I had been there before, and that's our kind of food, that home cooking food. So it was really good. So cool. The church lady deviled eggs, it was good.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law makes some good ones. I mean, she makes really good deviled, like, for Easter and a couple other holidays, like my birthday, I get to request things that everybody has to bring over, for my birthday, even though it's Thanksgiving. It's like, that's Easter food. Nope, it's my birthday. So it's going to also be a Thanksgiving food this year. So yeah, but those things are crazy. I don't think we're replicating those at home. They're super good. And one last thing, you guys went to Boma, and you said you really enjoyed Boma over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. It says you just wish you could have had more, and I think that's the case, right? It's so dang expensive.
Yes,
you can't eat enough.
I'm trying to think when we went. It was a day that we had slept in. It was kind of a slow day, and I don't think we ate a ton beforehand. But I think I was at the point. It was towards the end of the trip. The food was incredible. I normally don't love buffets, but this buffet is different. And I just think at this point, I just had probably eaten so many great meals that my tummy was just done. But the food was, the flavors are just so unique. And of course, the zebra domes are incredible. We wanted to figure out a way to take some with us, but they don't travel very well. Yeah. But
Mickey would try. Trust me, she'd have a dozen in her purse.
So, and that soup that she loves, that butternut, I think it's the butternut squash, maybe.
Yep.
Very good. So
yep. There's a chowder there that I like. It's like a corn.
That too. It was good.
Man, that stuff is so good. Yeah. We always talk about this stuff, and I just like, I've just had dinner, but now I feel like I need to go out and have another dinner because we always talk about the good stuff.
Yes.
Not at Walt Disney World. This is so fun. And you mentioned, though, you brought up a great point, though, because when you go to Walt Disney World, typically you're having all these great meals. Olivia's Homecoming, Sebastian's Bistro, Boma, and you're having these great meals, but sometimes they are heavy. They're out of the ordinary from how we eat back home. I get this way on a cruise, right? I mean, because I love going on a cruise because you get all these fun, meals in the dining rooms, right? I never get to have seafood at home because my girls don't like it. So I'll have a seafood, you get an appetizer, you get a dessert, you get an entree, sometimes 2 entrees if you ask for it, whatever you want. And I get like you, though, because that really rang true with me that by the end of the cruise, sometimes I'm just ready for like a chicken sandwich, like just like one chicken sandwich and like 10 French fries. That's all I want. Like I'm fooded out. I think that's a good point. Maybe I wonder if any of our other listeners kind of feel that way towards the end of vacation.
Probably. Again, we had a long trip, so we had lots of great places that we were eating. So we split a lot of meals just to save our tummies, but so.
It's a good point. Okay, so as we wrap the show here, it's been a lot of fun, man, just going back to talking about a Run Disney race weekend, which they're going to be coming around here again in just a month or two. I can't believe it. Wine and Dine's just around the corner. One last like memory or thought or, tip for anybody out there as we wrap the show here on a Monday.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I would say is take the girls trip. I think we've done several really sweet family trips, which are wonderful. And I think there's just such a different dynamic about those adult trips. I think it was just sweet to like merge our friendships. I'm obviously really close with my sister-in-law and also my best friend, but I got to know her friend even deeper. And it was just really fun to be able to unplug from the world and just enjoy the things that maybe you don't enjoy as much when you have little ones around. We love we all have kids. We love our kids dearly. But it was really just sweet to be able to like step away and to just enjoy friendship and fellowship with each other and just to make some sweet, sweet memories. So I would say take the girls trip. I would encourage you also, if you've never done a Run Disney event, even if you're not a runner, to think about doing it. I think it's just a really cool like experience and just so much encouragement. And there's just so many cool goals that go along with running a longer race, or even if you just did a 5K, I think it's just a cool thing to experience. So.
And you kind of mentioned it. Like I remember kind of I was on the same path you were. Like when Mallory was born, I mean, she's 15 now, she'll be 16 in January. That's kind of when we started the podcast. And when she was little, I got very sedentary, because it was just like,
Yeah.
My life changed. I was an athlete all the way up to that point. Played a lot of hockey.
Mhm.
I was always a baseball player. I was always busy, but then I just sat for like years as she was a little kid. And Run Disney got me back in. Because of that, I dropped a ton of weight, and I've tried to stay active ever since, because it's just it's that incentive, it's that carrot. That, in January I get to go to Florida and escape the 20 below. It's hard to believe that in January, where I'm sitting right now, the wind chill be 20 below when it's so hot it's trying to kill me. If I step outside right now, it's bizarre. Why do I live here? But you made a great point, though. Just give it a shot. Get out there, because it is fun. You get fun medals. Even more than the medals, you get to have fun with friends. I've made countless friends because of Run Disney. I mean, people that I consider family, and I mean like brothers and sisters. There's something to be said for the bonds you make when you sweat together, when you cry together sometimes, because you're just struggling to get to that finish line, but you do make it together in the training runs leading up to the race weekend. I'm glad you said that. That's a great point.
Yeah. So definitely a blast. I mean, I think eventually we'll do another one someday. I don't know if we'll do a half or if we'll stick with like a 10K, but it was an incredible experience. So I would highly recommend people check it out.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, Leslie, thanks for coming on the show, and I hope you have a great week and a nice fall down there, and go Pokes.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. Excited to share it with my family.
All righty. Tell them I said hello.
I will.
All right. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out. They are standing by right now to help you plan a great Walt Disney World Disneyland 2024. We can do that now as well. Disney Cruise Line and Adventures by Disney Trips. Just swing by the website today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's at beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. That really helps us out. And thank you to our patrons. You guys make all these shows possible. We get to put out not just a show a week. We put out like 3, 4, 5 shows a week because of your support, starting at just $5 a month for all these podcasts. So thank you for supporting us over there. If you'd like to do that and get the bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest, come on over, patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcasts. Give me a follow on social media. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram, Twitter, formerly known, or I guess it's X, formerly known as Twitter. Threads, I'm over there as well. And you can find me on Facebook, even though I don't go on Facebook very often. Every once in a while I'll pop in on there. I'd love to talk to you this week. So find me, easy to find, Be Our Guest Mike. And Sunday night, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central, we'll have the live call-in show. So give us a call. We'll talk Disney. Scott joins me. We have a great time opening up the phone lines so we can talk Disney. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. All right. So for Leslie down in Arkansas, this is Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Oh, Mallory's calling. She is locked out. You unlock the door. All right. Well, I got to run because I got to go unlock the door for
That's
Mallory.
great. It was so nice to meet you, Mike. Thanks
Nice
for
to meet
your help,
you.
Mike.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. And tell the kids I said hello.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you. Bye-bye.